Now, from the station on your side, this is Wavy News 10.
We're getting right to breaking news this midday. Newport News police identified the officer killed during a traffic stop last night.
In an emotional news conference, Chief Steve Drew said Officer Katie Thine died. Drew said Thine had not been with the department long, but had a big impact on the community. 10 on your side's Andy Fox will have more on Officer Thine and her service in just a few minutes.
Now, this all happened last night on 16th Street. That's near Monitor Merrimack Overlook Park. 10 on your side's Jason Marks joins us live from Newport News. Jason, the chief, also gave details about what led up to this deadly traffic stop.
Yeah, he did. I can tell you that things are absolutely somber here at Newport News Police Headquarters. They're doing something that they haven't had to do in 23 years. A couple officers were out here a little while ago washing off this car, and in just about 30 minutes they're going to drape this car in black in remembrance of Officer Thine. Police Chief Steve Drew was in tears when he was going through the events last night a little while ago. He says officers stopped the car just before 7 on 16th Street. The chief tells us that 2 officers were investigating a possible drug violation, and they could smell drugs as they walked up to that car. We're told officers were trying to get the driver, Vernon Green, out of the car, but that's when he hit the gas and took off. 24-year-old Officer Katie Thine was dragged about a block. Green's car then slammed into a tree, and Thine was pinned between the tree and the car. She died from her injuries. Green was arrested at the scene along with his passenger, Ivy Reynolds. Steve Drew says Thine has quickly been with the department, has become an impact. She was been with the department since 2018, became an officer officially in June of 2019, and made her impact known very quickly.
She's very active in the community, and sometimes we try to teach that, but she got it. And if you ever met her, if you ever saw her, all she did was smile. You'd almost start to laugh at her because she was always smiling. I don't know about what, but she was always smiling.
Always smiling in those pictures you just saw. Drew told us that he can't go into any more details about the investigation at this point, but he did say there was body camera video from Thine's camera that she was wearing last night. Green has been charged with felony homicide, eluding, and also drug charges. He's being held inside the Newport News jail right now. He declined our request for an on-camera interview. We're live in Newport News. Jason Marks, 10 on your side.
Jason, thank you. And as you can imagine, Chief Steve Drew was extremely emotional as he opened up about Officer Katie Thine.
Our Andy Fox picks up our team coverage now, and Andy, Drew says Thine had a huge impact on the department and the community.
An amazing woman, police officer, the best. Chief Steve Drew says Officer Katie Thine had been with the department since 2018. She came to police from the Navy, actually, and was a logistics specialist in the Navy Reserve and was assigned to Navy Operational Support Center in Norfolk. In her short term on the police force, she made an immediate impact. This is Officer Katie Thine at her police graduation ceremony, June 28, 2019. You can tell her immediate warm friendship with Newport News Police Chief Steve Drew. So you can understand his emotion during the news conference.
She was very active in the community, and sometimes we try to teach that, but she got it. And if you ever met her, if you ever saw her, all she did was smile. You'd almost start to laugh at her because she was always smiling. I don't know about what, but she was always smiling.
Look at these pictures, and you can tell the good soul Katie Thine had. Assigned to the South Precinct, lower income neighborhoods. She cared about the community. She cared about a lot. It's no surprise the Peninsula Regional Animal Shelter posted this on how Officer Thine was involved in Tail Wagging Tuesdays.
She was very active in community events, stuff with youth. In fact, she assisted in coaching one of the basketball teams with the Boys and Girls Club that we play.
Thine would have been with the children tomorrow, reaching out, establishing those bonds.
Matter of fact, those games are scheduled tomorrow. We had a conversation. Should we cancel them? The answer is no.
Coach Thine would have wanted it this way, that the games go on, and they will, this dedicated public servant.
She is and will always be a valued member of this department and part of a tragic event that happened yesterday that will affect this department and community, the future of its existence.
Future of its existence. Katie Thine leaves behind a loving partner, her mother, to whom Chief Drew spoke last night, a brother, a stepfather, and a 2-year-old daughter named Reagan, who Chief Drew says looks just like her mother. Chief Drew said this: "As we go forward, days will be challenging. We will lean on each other, and it's okay to cry." It sure is. In the newsroom, Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
Andy, thank you. And to recap, 2 people face charges in the deadly traffic stop. The driver, 38-year-old Vernon Green II, is charged with felony homicide, eluding, and drug charges. The passenger, 38-year-old Ivy Runnels of Hampton, faces a drug charge. Right now, we're working to get mugshots for both of those suspects.
Chief Drew also talked about the outpouring of support that the Newport News Police Department has received. Agencies all over the area shared their condolences on Twitter, including the Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Hampton Police Departments. Those are just a few of the many messages to Newport News Police. We'll continue to follow this story throughout the day, and we'll have much more on Officer Katie Thine tonight on Wavy News 10 starting at 4.